All right, well, here we go. We jump back in. So welcome to everybody watching. Ollie, welcome to you. Welcome back. I know you've had a trip away. How was that?
It was very hot. I was in Sydney, very, very hot, very, very crowded indeed. And they have the same problems there as we have here when it comes to rentals and house prices.
Wow. Okay, seeing the same in their market?
It's exactly the same as here. And they're screaming about interest rates. The TVs and news media, it's all about interest rates going up, and they want to sack the Minister of Finance and the Reserve Bank Governor and everything else.
And again, tackling inflation, fighting inflation.
Yeah, same story. Yeah.
So we're maybe today, we're certainly fighting inflation. Last time we caught up, it was the Auckland floods. Right. They were pretty dramatic. We get out of that, and the effects of that are still felt by Auckland. We look around cliffside properties that are looking pretty weak right now, and owners are under concern, and we've got red stickers and yellow stickers.
Right.
And then we've had the cyclone hit, which has been devastating, and it's still devastating for mainly outside of Auckland, the parts around. So
terrible. Yes, it's terrible.
Where do you see us heading now if we put that on top of the financial pressures we've had? How does that affect the market?
Well, the market, I think, is going to be severely affected down the line, and building rules will change almost for sure to make properties, house properties, more flood-proof and windproof. The idea of building houses on concrete slabs, for instance, which allows water to get into a house quite easily unless it's on a hill.
Wait, when did that come in? Was that the 70s?
About the 70s, yeah. Before that, houses were built on piles, and you would anywhere between 0.5 metre to 3 metres off the ground, allow air around the house, sensible, and allow water to go underneath it. But it's much cheaper to put a concrete pad down, you see. Well, maybe that idea will go away a little bit.
Yeah, they're sort of flush with the ground, very, very small
unless they're on a hill,
rise on it.
Yeah.
Do you, if I just jump in there, for years I looked at Queenslanders, the style of home, big verandas, raised, air underneath.
That's right.
It naturally gets that airflow, reduces the temperature, and those beautiful big surround verandas.
Yes, lovely.
And they were protected from the weather. Maybe that's us.
Well, maybe we have to go that way. Maybe climate change is affecting us more severely than we thought.
Yeah. It looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Economically, and appreciate that the devastation for people is property, lives, incomes, business, rentals, everything. Yeah. Economically, what have you seen this before? What sort of things could we see happen?
Well, we had a similar cyclone back in the 60s called Cyclone Bowler, which caused a lot of devastation. And I can't remember the details of it now, but it's likely, knowing what we have in front of us, the whole country, we'd like to have more pressure on prices, more inflation, because of all the businesses that have been knocked out, and the horticulture and so forth, and the number of people now are homeless, one way or the other, the red sticker, yellow sticker, or no house at all. And I wouldn't be surprised. Rents are going up. That's the first thing.
So demand, there's less supply of rental properties, they're damaged.
That's right. Rents have gone up about 4% in the recent times, which isn't up with inflation, but it's still a big number.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised at all if the government, among other things, starts to bring in a rent freeze, a long-term rent freeze, other than perhaps allowing increases if rates go up or insurance goes up.
Which is good news for the tenant, the person coming in. Maybe tough on the landlord if they didn't have the sufficient insurance in place. Now they've got extra cost.
And they've got interest rates on top of that. Interest rates rising all the time, and if you've got a mortgage, you know all about it. So we've got a perfect storm. At least we're very careful, but I think we're going to have a perfect storm, and we have to tough it out, I'm afraid.
And when you've seen rent freezes in the past, I know you've been involved in talking to the government and getting the government in front of the people. A long time ago, different prime ministers, probably a prime minister a lot of people probably aren't even aware of, but the ones who are will never forget him.
We'll talk about Muldoon, Robert Muldoon, yes. You lie awake at night having nightmares. Yes, when he had an announcement to make, we all drew the curtains, took a stiff whiskey, turned on the TV and didn't want to go out till the next day. Yeah. Well, I was involved in a riot with Muldoon. He was opposition minister at the time. I organised a large meeting in Upper Queen Street in a cabaret called.
Were you a troublemaker?
Yeah,
What was this all about?
It was against the government, the Labor government, 1970s. They brought in all sorts of rules against landlords.
So Muldoon was in opposition at that stage. So you were in there with the opposition party.
That's right. And I invited Bob Jones as well, a well-known investor.
Yep.
And so we all spoke to this very large crowd.
Is he a troublemaker?
Oh, slightly. And we had this enormous meeting to protest against government moves at the time, and the meeting was highly successful. And when we stepped out at the end of the meeting at night, there was a crowd of nasty people out there with placards who took to us, attacked us. Bob Jones knocked one down, I think. Muldoon knocked another one down. I missed the third guy. And unfortunately, the next day in the news media, our meeting, which was more important, was hardly mentioned, but the riot was. And it was headlines for years. So it was a good try, but we didn't get it off the ground.
So you tried it, but didn't get the message out.
Yeah.
And did Labor push through with rent freezes at that stage?
Well, rent controls, and they helped set up the rent tenants protectionist associations and so forth, which is minor stuff by today's standards, but it was very irritating at the time. But this sort of thing is happening again and will happen again.
Flood tax? Is there some sort of flood tax?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Potential?
I would say any tax cuts are probably off the table. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Or maybe for the less well off. There could be a flood tax. It could be on petrol. That would love the Greens would love that. There's a petrol reduction price at the moment. Maybe that'll come back. Or maybe more on petrol or diesel, or maybe car registrations. We have very cheap car registration in New Zealand. Australia is about $800 to register a car on an annual basis. We're about 100 and something. That's a good tax. 2 million cars, 3 million cars around. Anything you like. But the money's got to come from somewhere. Hopefully from you, not from me.
Well, I feel like a lot of it's coming from me.
Yeah.
And that's there. The government's simply in a bind right now.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of money, gave a lot of money away with COVID.
Yeah.
Now hit with floods. Auckland, you now have to look and decide where do you build. Do you think there's parts of Auckland, how does this work out? Is there parts of Auckland where people shouldn't build anymore?
Well,
is there pockets in every single suburb where they shouldn't be building?
Well, obviously, people now demand, and mortgage companies, banks and mortgagees and insurers will demand reports on where floods are likely to be and take much more notice of it, and won't insure or charge far more for them, and won't allow building to go to be put up. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's not litigation coming up. We've discussed that before against developers or against the council for putting houses in places where known floods have occurred before.
I think that argument's starting right now, isn't it, between the council and the central government about who decides, what infill should look like.
That's right.
So I guess right now, if it's clifftop or you're on the flat and there's a culvert handy, then it's not that attractive.
And building by a nice river, and so on.
Yeah.
All very nice, but whoosh, look what happens.
It's a real
disaster.
danger.
It's a real disaster.
Buybacks?
Yes, I heard that some people are calling on the government to buy their houses back so they can start again, but I think there's one chance in 1,000 that'll happen. I mean, how many?
What with? Where's the money come for that?
Yeah, insurance should cover it, but if you're not insured, well, I don't know. This is still playing out.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, but it'll be enormous pressure. At the moment, everybody's in a state of flux. Everybody's upset at this moment. That'll last for weeks, and then in shock, actually. And after shock comes the grieving, and after grieving comes the anger, and that's where the problem comes.
I saw, there'd be 1,000 stories like this. I saw a family, they were looking after the grandkids, had just refurbished the house. Now the house is destroyed, all the furniture is destroyed.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there with the grandkids. So absolutely devastating.
Right.
If we think about the Auckland guys, it'll be the same down in the Bay. Can council help? Can they afford to help? Do they defer rates? Is that fair? Is that unfair on other parties? Is it just on the table, off the table?
I've never heard of any council anywhere forgiving rents. They will defer it maybe, but they'll collect it by hook or by crook. And it seems ridiculous that you have to pay rates on a house that doesn't exist. In other words, you're paying for a service that you're not getting. And there'll be another round of stoushes coming out of that.
That's a good point, isn't it? Because we've got the land value, then we've got the improvements on top. Right. What you're saying there is the improvements, which everybody calls the house, is now gone. Zero.
Yep.
So now the rateable value should be the land, but now the land has a diminished value.
Very much diminished in some cases, yes. And why should you pay rates on something you can't use?
Oh, look, there might be a riot. We better check before we go out of here. You know, there might be guys out waiting for us. But okay, so on that basis, if you're we're going to get in trouble here, Ollie.
No, we won't.
On that basis, if you're paying your tax in Auckland, paying your rates, then you'd really want that reassessed immediately. Get a valuer in, go straight down to council and say, I tell you what, it wasn't $1 million. It was $1 million, but today it's 300,000. Thanks very much.
I don't think they'll reduce the rates because of that. I think they'll increase it. I think more like the insurance will be going up. This is all going to play out. This will take weeks, if not months, to sort out. And there'll be some very angry people around, and there'll be a lot of losers, I'm afraid. Not very few winners. Unfortunately, that's the way. Well, this has happened before, but there's no easy, quick answer, I'm afraid.
And it's fair to say, and it's no surprise, there's not a lot of money sitting in the bank behind us as such. I think the Earthquake Commission, I think 300 million. Yeah, that'll be gone.
That's gone already.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yep, as quick as that.
The government sort of soaked that up and probably been spending it behind our backs.
Yeah.
They've got to fight it again. It's a disaster, but what can you do? But I think, going back to, I think the most important thing will be that the rules of building will change very quickly. Yep. And people insist on it, in fact. And there'll be pressure now. People looking for houses that are going to be flood-proof in areas which are known to be flood-proof, on sort of slopes and things. And there'll be difficulty for people trying to sell their houses, even if they haven't been damaged by floods. If they're in a flood area, it'll be difficult selling it. So there's a big change coming in the whole dynamics of the residential property market.
I think we mentioned that last time with the Auckland floods. I know agents, buyers, vendors. Vendors in particular, when they're selling, everybody scoffed at the flood zones. It's ridiculous. And now it's a real consideration and has an impact. So if that is on your title, it's going to be tougher. If it's not on your title, you're now looking better. If it's not on your title, you're raised and you look protected from the elements, better for your value.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. How about this? We'll jump and this will go to air a little bit later. So you're on the spot now. You get a sort of crystal ball out. Everybody will go. They'll be able to sort of
Thanks a lot.
grade.
You remember, all predictions expire at midnight tonight, and that still stands.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. Anything could happen this afternoon. As we sit here later this afternoon, the OCR or the Reserve Bank will come out with their statement. There we go.
Well, if the Reserve Bank was humane, if you like, they would defer high interest rates. That's what they should do, because this is punishing people on top of the punishment they've already received. But I suspect this afternoon that the interest rates will come out, as always, 0.5%, 5 points, 50 points raised. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, because that's the way banks work. My dealing with banks is the banks are, I won't say the word, they don't have a heart. Don't forget that it's so many people in a bank that they pass the buck around to everybody. There's no one person to blame. So I think the OCR will go up this afternoon. We shall see. We'll know this afternoon. But it shouldn't, my view. I think inflation, doesn't matter if inflation goes another 3 months. Doesn't worry. It shouldn't worry most people.
Which is their challenge, isn't it? Well, and I think this is the biggest question, and it is how quick can they respond or react to what's changed, or are they still going in the same direction?
The trouble is the whole business with raising interest rates is based on a flawed theory, because high interest rates feed into inflation itself. If you have to pay more in interest, you're going to go to your employer, or if you've got a business, you're going to pass the charges on, which is inflationary. And businesses borrow millions of dollars in some cases. They're going to pass the charges on their prices. So you've got an interest price spiral as well. So I don't know if it's really going to work. it's without sort of killing the economy on top of it. It seems to be a bit pointless. It's putting more pressure and more costs onto everything through interest rates. It seems to be a dive to nowhere.
They may be going down the wrong track. I remember before the GFC,
Yep.
I'd done the first half of my MBA at Auckland.
Yep.
And as we went through the GFC and popped out the other side, I went, well, I'll tell you what, I can take all those economic papers and drop them in the bin, because all that theory just turned out to be
I'm sure
pretty tough going.
It allows us to know where to look.
All right, well, there we go. Appreciate that. So our feelings, obviously, and we've discussed this before we jumped on, our feelings are with the people that are devastated.
Yeah.
It is really, really hard. How do you come out of that? And then we close with the OCR, and fair to say we probably sit on the fence, and that they should defer.
They should
maybe
defer.
let that inflation run a little bit longer further out, but maybe they will probably go up, trying to curb it, and
We'll
it
know.
may not be the right thing.
We will know this afternoon, but we're recording it in the morning,
Yep.
so we'll see.
And your predictions expire when?
Midnight tonight, so I'm in trouble with the afternoon, I know, but there we
But only we will know.
That's good.
Excellent. Olly, as always, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Love having a bit of time with you and getting your knowledge and sharing it with everybody listening
you.
and watching.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.